down on the ground. So for today's class, you're going to need your couch cushion, your pillow of some sort, a couple of matching yoga blocks, a nice belt, bathrobe tie will do, a chicken, always a good idea. And we're going to start seated down on our 2 blocks. You're going to put your 2 blocks side by side, one for each butt cheek, and then sit upon them. My light's in a little closer. So I'd recommend sitting towards the back edge of your mat, 1 block for each butt cheek, and then sit upon them. And have your other toys nearby. A simple crisscross applesauce. And then with your palms forward, take a shoulder shrug, inhaling up and exhale back and down, and repeat that. Great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Inhaling up, exhale back and down, and again, great big shoulder shrug, inhaling up and exhale back and down. And then keep those shoulder blades down. As you inhale, bring your arms up. Palms are shining forward. As you exhale, pull those shoulder blades and elbows down together onto your back. Repeat. Inhale, reach for the sky. And exhale, pull down. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, pull down. And one more time. Big inhale all the way up. And as you exhale, pull down. Keep your belly pulled in a little bit. As you pull those shoulder blades down your back, head's on level and straight. Spine is upright, normal. You're trying not to go sway back here. Turn your palms towards your head. Hitchhike your thumbs backwards. Your elbows tip forward. Your thumbs pull backward, and you feel those shoulder blades pull down your back. And again, you're keeping some tension in your belly, trying to prevent that sway back thing from happening. As you pull those shoulder blades down, elbows tip forward, thumbs pull back. You're going to then look over that right shoulder and drop that right arm. Continue to pull the left shoulder blade down your back. Front ribs and belly are engaged. Neutral upright spine, and you're feeling a lovely neck stretch. You need more intensity, pull that left shoulder blade down harder. If that's still not enough for you, you can take that right hand up and over to the base of your skull, tuck your chin deep into your armpit. And do keep breathing. And release. Palms are forward for that shoulder shrug. Inhale up. And exhale back and down. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, bring both arms up. Palms shine forward as you pull those elbows and shoulder blades down together onto your back. Palms turn toward your head. Thumbs hitchhike backward. Elbows tip forward. You're going to turn to look down into that left armpit and drop that left arm. Again, belly's engaged. Neutral upright spine. Looking down into that left armpit. Pulling that right shoulder blade down your back. Again, if you need more intensity, you can take that left hand up and over to the base of your skull, tuck your chin deep into your armpit. And inhale to release. Palms are forward for that shoulder shrug. Up. And exhale back and down. All right, hands on your lap, keeping your arms more or less straight. You're going to pull your chest forward. And as you exhale, pull your tummy in around your back. So it's a seated cat and cow. Inhale, pull chest forward. And exhale, collapse. Tuck in those front ribs, pull in your belly. Rocking back and forth. I'm using my arms to do a lot of the work. I've got a good grip on my knees. If it works for you to engage your head, let your head lift and lower, you can do that. But if head banging is not your thing, you definitely do not have to look up and down. You can just look forward the entire time. Ideally, you are sitting on enough height that you can get your pelvis to rock back and forth. You can think of that pelvic bowl spilling forward and then spilling backward. If you're not getting your hips involved, you might consider sitting on more height and stack your blocks up if you need more height. Also, when you tip backwards, if your knees are flying up really high, you might be more comfortable on stacked blocks. Ideally, your lap is slanting down away from you the entire time. And the next time you inhale, sit up. Take that shoulder shrug up, back and down, and clasp your hands together behind your back, interlacing your fingers. Again, ideally, you're sitting on enough height that your lap is slanting down and away from you. Your knees are lower than your hip bones. And here you are with your hands clasped together behind your back, squeezing those shoulder blades together, pulling your elbows away from your back any amount at all. And then release. Can you rearrange the cross of your legs without using your hands? There's hip flexibility and there's hip mobility. So hopefully over the year or so we've been doing this class, you've gained a little bit more mobility in those hips, ability to move them. Take a good shoulder shrug up, back, and down. All right, you're going to inhale, bring both arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, twist to the right, taking that left arm across the front of your body. That right hand is behind you, coming into a nice spinal twist. Inhale up and exhale, twist the other way. On your next inhale, lift your arms up and exhale, twist. Do keep breathing. And again, on an inhale, lift your arms up and exhale, twist. Keep breathing. Now looking forward, this is your right arm coming across your lap. Your left arm is behind you. You're going to take that left arm, snake it underneath, crawl it across, get your arms to cross as tightly as possible. Ideally, your elbows have crossed so that you can flip that bottom arm up and it hooks the top. Shoulders are down. If you did get those elbows to cross, you might be able to clasp your hands together. Your hands don't quite make that connection. Well, that's what the belt is for. You can use that belt to help bridge the gap. So work at whatever level is appropriate for you. Now, depending on how skinny your arms are, you might be able to put your palms together. Shoulders down away from your ears, elbows pressing forward. Again, you're just staying neutral and upright in your spine. You're going to lift and lower those elbows any amount at all. And feel that lovely stretch in the shoulder blades. Keep your arms crossed. Release those hands. Notice which arm is on top. You're going to put the other arm on top. So recrossing those arms. Crawl that bottom arm underneath. Get those arms to cross nice and tight. And then if that bottom elbow does get underneath, then you can hook it. And you might just be here holding on with your elbow or using the belt to bridge the gap or joining your hands together. Same thing, elbows press forward, waistline pulls backward. You're going to lift and lower. Sliding those arms up and down. And release. All right. Let's sit as ladylike as possible. Again, see, I'm still sitting on my blocks. I got one butt cheek on each block, and I'm going to lift and separate. I'm going to pull the flesh away from those sit bones and get those sit bones right on the very edges of the blocks. We were tilting our pelvis a little bit ago. We want the pelvis to be able to tilt so that your belly is spilling forward into your lap. You're going to pile that flesh up behind you. Sit bones right on the edge of the blocks. Just about spin forward here. Knees are nice and wide. Shoulders shrug up, back, and down. You're going to rest your elbows on your lap. Bring your hands together. You're going to put your thumbs to the inside corners of the eye. So you want to be on the bone, not pushing into the eyeball, but you're pushing into the eye socket. Between, just above the tear duct. So letting the weight of your skull rest on the tips of your thumbs, elbows resting on your lap, belly coming forward. And breathing. Well, this is an acupressure point, said to help relieve tension, headache, and eye strain. And it can be exquisitely tender. But you do want your head to be nice and heavy. Some good weight settling onto the tips of your thumbs. Good acupressure here. Again, you're pushing against the eye socket, the bones. And you're breathing. Then you let your palms separate away from one another so the inside edges of your thumbs nestle in and press up against the inside of that eye socket. So you just spread your palms apart from one another. Let the inside edge of your thumbs press up against into that eye socket. You're going to pinch down. I'm going to get a little closer to the screen so you can see. You're going to pinch down between your first finger and thumb to make an eyebrow, like a caveman brow ridge. All the while, again, your elbows are resting on your lap, head's coming forward, and you're doing your best to breathe. And then continue to squeeze and pinch that eyebrow from the inside corner of the eyebrow to the outside end of each eyebrow along that caveman brow ridge. Maybe work the edge of your thumb up into the eye socket. Again, not pushing on the eyeball, just pushing on the eye bone. And then coming over to your temples. You can use your fingertips and massage those temples. Wiggle your jaw. Baby yaw. Oh. Let your shoulders melt away from your ears. Let your head be nice and heavy. Massaging those temples. Head settling heavy onto your fingertips. Then smear those fingers. Oh, did I lose my audience? I hopefully not. Fingertips sliding down below the cheekbones. So you find those cheekbones. Push your fingertips into that area just below the cheekbone. So a moment ago, you were below the eye socket. Now you're below the cheekbone. Let your mouth hang open. Massaging those chewing muscles. Your mouth is open. You're going to make your way back to your earlobes. Take a hold of your earlobes, pull down, wiggle your jaw, and yawn. You're going to put your fingers in your ears. And at this point, if you need to rearrange the way your legs are, that's fine. You can rearrange your legs. Fingertips go into your ear holes. You're going to pull down, and again, wiggle your jaw and yawn. So fingertips in your ear holes, pulling down, wiggling your jaw, yawning. Fingertips in your ear holes, pulling back, yawning. And again, if you need to rearrange your legs, you can do that. Fingertips in your ear holes, pulling up, wiggling your jaw, yawning, swallowing. And then finally, fingertips in your ear holes, pushing forward, wiggling your jaw, yawning, swallowing. And then fingers come out and you can wipe the yuck off your fingers. Take a palm, like you're palming a basketball or picking up a kitten from the scruff of its neck. You're going to palm the back of your neck and give a good squeeze the back of the neck. Like you're a mommy cat picking up a baby cat. Good squeeze on the back of the neck. And then switch. Give it a good squeeze with the other hand. And then release. So you've been on those blocks for a while, and hopefully your hips have gotten used to this orientation. I'm going to get back up on my blocks. It is better to be sitting on some stuff. So you're going to take your legs out wide. The more stuff you're sitting on, the more successful you will be in this next move. So sit bones nice and wide. Again, you're perched on the very front edge of the blocks. You let your legs go wide. Not so wide that they snap off to the side. Ideally, it's like a 90-degree angle. So think about your right angles on a corner of a square here. Feet are flexed flat. And if you've got hypermobile knees, or if you're sitting on a lot of height, you're nervous about your knees, you can put some couch cushion blanketing underneath those knees to prevent them from hyperextending and bending backwards. Or you could just be strong and keep those knees unlocked and engage these quadricep muscles. Feet flex flat, quadricep muscles engaged, knees prevented from hyperextending. As you shrug your shoulders up, back, and down, use your fingertips behind you and advance forward with your heart, leaning forward. This is a bit of a stretch here. You're going to find a tipping point where it's more comfortable to bring your hands forward and continue to lean forward. Now, if you're doing this at home, it might be nice to do this with a coffee table out in front of you. If you have that coffee table out in front of you, you can rest your forearms on the coffee table and rest your forehead on your arms. And then just be here for a nice long length of time. You don't have all that stuff set up. You don't feel like moving in this very moment. That's fine. Shoulders are down. Melt your heart forward. Do make sure your hands are touching something and let your head hang. And breathe. Now, if you are well supported in this pose, you got some padding behind those knees, or you're working those thighs to keep those knees from hyperextending. You're sitting on enough blocks that your pelvis is able to tip and your belly is able to spill forward. I mean, you could probably stay in this pose for a good long length of time, but then your thoughts start to get in the way. And maybe it's a mental challenge, not so much a physical challenge, to be in this pose. And this is where some cognitive reframing comes into play. If you acknowledge that, that's an interesting thought I am having right now, that mental resistance to the pose. If you acknowledge it and think to yourself, that's an interesting thought, that third person perspective of, strange. You're more likely able to let go of that mental resistance if first you acknowledge it. Observe it, acknowledge it, just let it go. Do keep breathing. You've been here long enough, perhaps you start to feel that your body is letting go. You're able to come a little further into the pose. Maybe your elbows come down. Again, if you're doing this on a coffee table, maybe you feel that your forehead's getting heavier on your forearms. As you start to get deeper into this pose, as you start to melt into it, as your body lets go, as you mentally begin to let it happen, you might find that you can bring your hands together. And again, thumbs into the inside corners of the eye socket and breathe. There is two parallel lines of energy in Chinese medicine that originate at this inside corner of the eye and run in parallel like twin mohawks along the top of your head, down your spine, either side of your spine, and down the backs of your legs all the way to the bottoms of your feet. These lines of energy, these meridians or channels, are said to help release the backside of the body. So ideally, you're getting a full back of the body stretch here. From the inside of corners of the eyes, along the mohawk, either side of your spine, down the backs of your legs, all the way to the bottoms of your feet. Alrighty then. Head is heavy. Hands push down into something, and with your head hanging heavy, you're going to crawl out of this one and come back up to sit. Help your legs together. Take both legs over to the left here. So this is your right knee, your right foot is near the left knee, and your left big toe is pointed out behind you. Again, you're still sitting on those blocks. You're going to come into a twist again. Inhale, bring both arms up, and exhale, twist to the right here. Looking back behind you. Breathing. And inhale to center. Your challenge is to switch the flip of your legs, perhaps not using your hands. So switch legs. Do make sure this right foot is pointed. So you end up with the left knee bent, left foot up against the right knee, right big toe pointed back behind you. Inhale, bring both arms up and twist to the left. Nice twist. And inhale to center. Let's switch sides. Again, perhaps you can do this without using your hands. Do make sure that foot's pointed back behind you. Twisting once again to the right. Feel your shoulder blades wrapping around your spine. That right shoulder blade kissing your spine, that left shoulder blade peeling away, twisting around. Unwind, switch again, twist. And come to neutral. We're going to come on up. We're going to continue opening up the front of the hips here with a couple lunges. I'm going to go sideways. I recommend you guys face the screen so you don't hurt your neck. Put some padding underneath your knees. Have your blocks handy. Right foot forward, left leg back behind you. Just a basic long, low lunge. Opening up the front of the hip. So I've got my right foot in front, left leg behind. Nice long stride. Notice I got my back toes curled under so I get that added foot stretch. It does make it bonier on my knee, so I've got padding underneath that knee. Nice long stride between the feet. Front foot sticking out further than any other point on the body. Then I'm going to rock back. Leave that front foot where it is, but rock back on the heel. Bring the blocks back underneath your shoulders as you do this. And lean forward. Going again for a nice hamstring stretch. Hands on blocks, or maybe hands come to the floor. And then for added intensity, you drop your head and feel that connection from the inside corners of your eyes running along that mohawk, down your spine, down the back of your leg, maybe all the way to the bottom of the foot. With your head getting heavy, that just intensifies that stretch that wraps around the backside of your body. Use your arms and come on up. Same side, we haven't switched. Gonna go back into that lunge again. Same thing, haven't switched sides. But this time you're gonna bring both hands on the inside arch side of that front foot and let that front foot wiggle wide out to the side. Might even travel off your yoga mat. Move my arms out of the way here for a moment so you can see my toes are pointed out to the side. It's sticking out further than any other point on my body. Hands are on the inside arch side of this front foot. Start to advance your chest forward. Maybe bring your elbows down. Lizard lunge. How low can you go? Again, back toes can be curled under for that added foot stretch. And if you need even more challenge, elbows underneath your shoulders, hands on something or elbows on something. You activate your abs by looking down at your tummy. Pull that tummy in tight. And you can power the back leg straight. Back toes curled under. Lift that back knee up off the mat. So lifting that back knee up off the mat, engaging your abs, lifting your tummy up nice and strong. And then set that knee down. Straightening up your arms, backing up. Second time around for this hamstring stretch. Actually, probably our third or fourth hamstring stretch. Rocking back on that heel. Now you got those blocks with you. You need more intensity, you drop your head. If you need more intensity, you can stretch your arms out wide. Melt further forward. And you can play around with reaching out. Walking both hands all the way to your left. Walking both hands all the way to your right. I like to do this with blocks underneath my hands. Just makes it feel like I've got more control. And I can stretch longer with blocks. And you can play around with all the way to the left. And maybe go further around each time. And all the way around to the right. And then reset. Oh, let's switch sides. That was a big stretch. Back it up, shuffle switch. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So giant step forward with your left foot now. Basic lunge. Hands on blocks, either side of that front foot. Back toes curled under. Back knee on some padding. Basic lunge. Doing your best to breathe. So this basic lunge is basically just to measure out. Make sure you have a long stride between the front foot and back foot. Make sure you got enough padding underneath that back knee. Because from here, you rock back on that front heel. Maintain that stride length. The distance between front foot and back foot stays the same. You just rock back on the heel. Bring those blocks with you. And then notice when you drop your head, you stretch along that meridian, that line of energy from the inside corners of your eyes, down the mohawk, either side of your spine, and down the back of this leg in front. So dropping your head intensifies that hamstring stretch. Use your arms, come up out of that one. Let's go back into our lunge. We're doing that lizard lunge variation where both hands come to the inside arch side of that front foot. The front foot wiggles out wide to the side. The toes can turn out at an angle. Again, the toes are sticking out further than any other point on the body. You might even creep those toes forward a bit. Hands come down to the floor, elbows maybe come onto blocks. Get down nice and low. You want to engage your abs a little bit. Work this pose. You look towards your tummy, lift that tummy up. Back toes are curled under. You power the back leg up. So if you're familiar with your plank pose, your elbow plank, it's like half an elbow plank. Just a bit of an ab challenge here. Why not? Keep breathing. And then setting that back knee down. Once again, rock back on that front heel. Got your blocks. We loosened up the shoulders so that you can stretch those arms forward. Let your head hang. Feel that lovely hamstring stretch. And then you're going to play around with walking both hands all the way to the right. Back toes can be pointed or curled under, whatever works for you at this point. It's not so much about the toes now. It's that hamstring stretch, the side body stretch, and a bit of a shoulder thing. Both hands go to your left, maybe all the way across. And you can play around with going back to the right, back to the left. Notice the second time you come around, you go further. Finding any sticky spots as you go all the way right, all the way left, anywhere you need to pause for a moment and breathe. Stretch. With your head hanging heavy, anywhere you feel it, from the inside corners of your eyes, the base of your skull, down your back, your hips, all the way down the back of your leg, anywhere along that meridian, that line of energy is a legit stretch. And then eventually coming to center. All right, let's go up into a downward facing dog. So do make sure both hands and both feet are on the same sticky mat. Both hands, both feet on the same sticky mat as you lift your hips up for a downward facing dog. And then you're going to take your dog for a walk. Pedal your feet. Oh, feel that stretch into your calves. Done a bit of a hamstring stretch. Now those calves are starting to feel like they need to be stretched. So pedal your feet. Bend one knee and then the other. Let your hips jog side to side. Shake out your hair, wiggle your jaw, maybe even yawn. Your fingers are spread wide, maybe even turned out to the sides a little bit. Bending one knee, then the other, pushing down one heel, then the other, letting your hips go wide side to side. Feet walking towards hands, hands walking towards feet. Find yourself in a forward fold. Find your blocks. Have one block for each hand, and then you step your feet nice and wide. So we're having more than one yoga mat's nice. Just transfer to a different mat. Feet go nice and wide. Do make sure both feet are on the same surface. Both feet on or both feet off the sticky mat. Toes turn in, heels turn out. Hands are touching something. Hands are touching the floor. Maybe they're touching blocks. Hands are down on something. Toes in, heels out. Knees unlocked. Melting forward. So hands are touching the floor. Maybe you're able to put your elbows down on your blocks. Maybe you can put your elbows down on the floor. And then for the third time, if it works for you, Thumbs to the inside corners of the eyes. Palms together. Thumbs to the inside corners of the eyes. Head hanging heavy. And breathe. This is where having foaming blocks is nice because your bony elbows on the hard floor is not that comfortable. Bony elbows on foamy blocks, much more comfortable. Elbows down on blocks, or maybe elbows on your coffee table, or maybe elbows on the edge of your sofa, whatever height you need. We're here for a little while. Toes in, heels out, knees unlocked, forward fold. Take a moment to run across your room. Find yourself a variation where you can be here for a moment. So we're trying to stimulate those acupressure points, the inside corners of the eyes, all the way down your spine, down the backs of your legs, all the way down to your feet. Knees unlocked. Melting into it. So if your carpal tunnel, if your thumbs don't like this, you can also have a knuckle on the inside corners of the eyes. So you can use your knuckle on the inside corners of the eyes rather than your thumbs, whatever works for you. Having that little bone knuckle or thumb tip pushing into the eye socket area gives you that stimulation that you would get for like an acupressure. Thumb knuckle. Now we've been here for a while. And now you release. Let your head hang. Top of your head down towards the floor. And you're going to feel all sorts of tingles happen there. With your head hanging nice and heavy. Knees unlocked. Top of your head down towards the floor. Now, if the top of your head is touching the floor, your feet are too far apart. I feel all that circulation in your brain, in your face. Hands come down to the floor or onto your blocks. You're going to bend your knees. And with your head hanging heavy, head stays down, start to straighten up your arms. Begin to heel toe wiggle your feet closer to one another. Again, with your head hanging heavy. Heel toe wiggle your feet closer to one another so that you can bend your knees, make a lap, and then transfer your hands up onto your lap. Again, still with your head hanging heavy, slowly start to straighten your arms. You're rounding, walking your hands up your lap, rolling on up to standing, putting your head on last. Maybe feeling a little lightheaded. That's okay. We're going to keep our head up for a moment now. Feet go nice and wide still. Toes turning out to the sides. Take that shoulder shrug up, back and down, and come down into your sumo squat, your horse stance. Toes turned out, sticking out past your knees. Knees nice and wide. Turning your knees out to the side so you have arches in your feet. Turn and look over that right shoulder. Inhale to center. And exhale, turn to look over your left shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale, turn again. Knees are pushing wide. You might even lift up and flare all 10 toes. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist. And inhale, center. We're going to twist once more on each side. Hips are lower than your head. So hips down, looking up over that top shoulder. Inhale, center. Hips are down, looking up over your top shoulder. And inhale to center. Hands find the blocks or the floor so that you can heel toe wiggle your feet closer to one another. Hands transfer up onto your lap as you slowly come all the way on it. And shake a leg or two. And breathe. Feet go nice and wide. Better lighting. All 10 toes turning over to the right. Big inhale, both arms come all the way up. And exhale, let's tip on over into that triangle pose. Bottom hand can be on a brick or on your shin. Knee is unlocked. Make sure that knee does not hyperextend. Hand can be on a brick or on your shin. Top hand in the air, high-fiving that imaginary friend. Belly pulls in nice and tight. If it works for your balance to look up at the top hand, be able to see your top thumb with your bottom eye, like an artist. Spy with your bottom eye, that top thumb. And with an inhale, come all the way on up. So we've been stretching these hamstrings a lot. Let's switch sides, all 10 toes to the other side. That second block ready to go. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. And tip on over into that triangle pose. Again, bottom hand can be on a brick or on your shin. Brick can be in front of or behind the shin, whatever. Doesn't matter. Make sure the knee is unlocked. Again, test your balance. Be able to challenge yourself to look up that top thumb with your bottom eye. And with an inhale, all the way up. Because we've done a lot of hamstring stretching, perhaps you're feeling this more as a hip thing. Let's go back to that first side, turning all 10 toes to the right. Inhale, bring both arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, tip on over into that triangle pose. So perhaps we're coming into this triangle pose with a little bit more hip awareness because the hamstrings have let go. Knee is unlocked. You're going to take your top hand to that top hip, and you're going to take that top hip and turn it down towards the floor. And as you do so, you're going to pick up that back heel and pivot on the ball of the back foot. So notice I'm pivoting on the ball of the back foot. I'm going to take that back foot, hop it wide, and continue to drop this hip pocket down towards the ground. And now, block goes underneath that hand. One hand on the shin, one hand on the block, finding yourself in a pyramid pose. And breathing. If you let your head hang, it will be a more intense sensation. If you're into that kind of thing. And breathe. Come out of this, you lift your head up first. Pick up that back heel, pivot in and down. Toss that block over for the other side. You're going to come all the way on up. And we'll switch sides. Turn all 10 toes to the left. We're going to go into that triangle pose and then pivot into our pyramid. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, tip on over into that triangle pose. Again, have your block handy. From that triangle pose, top hand finds that top hip. You're going to be rolling this top hip down towards the floor, pivoting on the ball of that back foot. Hopping that back foot a little bit wider. Dumping the pocket change out of that right hip pocket. Right hand can find a block, left hand can find your shin as you bow over that front leg. Again, dropping your head for more intensity if you're into that kind of thing. This front knee is unlocked. Because we've done so much hamstring stretching, the more you take that back heel and press it straight back behind you, the more intense that calf muscle stretch will be. And maybe that's what you need right now is more calf muscle stretch. Take that back heel, bring it in and down, and toss your brick across. Inhale, lift up, and let's switch sides. So bricks over there by that right foot, turning all 10 toes to the right. We're going to do that evolution again. The blocks over there on the right side. Arms come up and overhead. Coming into that triangle pose. Knees unlocked for the duration. This entire side body, not just this top hip, but the entire side line is going to roll down towards the floor like a curtain, dropping. So take this top hip, roll it down towards the ground, pivoting on the ball of the back foot. Entire sideline of the body dropping to the floor like a curtain. The left hand can find a block, right hand can rest on your shin. If you hop that back foot a little bit wider, it is easier to roll that curtain down. Let's continue to evolve. The hand that's on your shin, that would be your right hand, sweeps up and open. Revolved triangle. That back heel lifts up and you pivot on the ball of the back foot. That entire side line rolling down towards the ground. Finish it by turning your head to look up at that top thumb, just like we did with our standard triangle pose. Bottom eye, top thumb. And unwind. Pick up that back heel, pivot, drop it in and down, open back up into standard triangle, and then come all the way on up. You might need to take a moment to shake out those legs. We've been here, that wide stance for quite a moment or two. Make sure you have those blocks ready to go. We're going to do the other side. Feet nice and wide. Wider apart this is, the easier it is to control, believe it or not. We did a lot of hamstring stretches, so you could take your feet wide. Go nice and wide, arms up and overhead. Tipping on over. Bottom hand on a brick or on the shin. So just as before, bottom eye finds that top thumb. You're going to find that top hip, the entire sideline of the body. Roll that down towards the ground as you pivot on the ball of the back foot. Hands find the blocks, hands find the shin. Take that back foot, hop it a little bit wider. Continue to evolve, revolve into a triangle pose, revolved triangle. Eventually finishing to look up at the top thumb with your bottom eye. And then unwind back into that pyramid pose. Take that back heel, drop it in and down into that triangle pose. And then come all the way on up. Whew. And step your feet together. Shake it out. Big inhale, both arms come up and overhead. And exhale. Well, again, great big inhale all the way up. And exhale. All right. We're going to make our way down to the ground because time flies when you're having fun. And we need to lie down on our backs and kind of finish up what we started. So have your toys nearby. Make sure. Pillow can go underneath your head. Belt nearby just in case. Blocks handy. Bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Rock those hips side to side. Walk those hips away from your shoulders. So feel that back waistband on the floor. Hips are nice and heavy. Come to center. You're going to set one foot down, set both feet down. You're going to push your feet into the ground. Fix your pants, lift your chest up. Sorry, these are your hips. Lift your hips up, fixing your pants, and then take your hips and swing them over to the left-hand edge of your mat and drop them down. So pick your butt up, swing it over, drop it down. Hips are on the left-hand edge of your mat. And take that right leg, shoot it out. Right foot flat, like you're kicking a hole in the wall. opposite. This is your right hand. It comes diagonal across to your left knee, and you bring that left knee across your body. Big spinal twist. We just did a spinal twist standing, but now lying on the ground, gravity pulling that weight of that leg across your body can really stretch some of these muscles that were holding you up in the standing pose. Now you can really stretch them for this twist. The straight leg is active, so you're still kicking a hole with that right heel in the wall across the room from you. Right hand is holding onto that left knee, and I like to use the palm of the hand to kind of cup the knee, the inside of the knee, and encourage that knee a little further across, maybe a little higher up towards your chest. The higher you bring that knee in towards your chest, the nicer it is for your back. Try bringing that knee in tight, close to your chest, across your body. You can ease in and out of the twist a few times, using that right hand to pull that left knee across, push it back, bring it up, and swing it down. This is not a static twist. You are wiggling around with this one. My knee is not on the floor. It's in the palm of my hand. Trying to coax those lower back muscles into letting go a little bit more. Now, if your left shoulder is floating, I do recommend that left hand on your ribs so that you don't aggravate that rotator cuff. Left hand on the ribs so your left rotator cuff is happy. We're going to come back to this twist, so you're just fiddling around with it, getting familiar with it. Treat it like a first date. Introduce yourself to the twist. And then push that leg back to center and reset. So knees bent, feet flat. Pick your hips up, swish them over to the right hand edge of the mat and drop them back down. So hips went up, over, and down to the right hand edge of the mat. And now you're going to shoot that left leg straight out. Left foot flat, kicking a hole in the wall, pushing hard through the heel. Left leg is engaged. As right knee bends, it comes across your body, and you use that left hand to bring it on over. Knee in the palm of my hand here. Right hand can come to the ribs. You're just going to wiggle. Now, you have enough stuff underneath your head that you can comfortably breathe. I'm talking the whole time, so hopefully you're breathing the entire time. You might need to put a block under your head. If swallowing, talking, coughing is uncomfortable or it feels like it's choking, you definitely need a pillow or a block underneath your head. Again, the higher you hike that knee up towards your chest, the nicer and safer it is for your back. I recommend knee close to your chest. And I'm using this left arm, bring this right knee across. And I'm easing in and out, kind of pulsing here. Stirring. Now this left and right thing can get quite confusing. I'm going to take that top knee and toss it back and reset. We're going to repeat. Come back to center. Knees bent, feet flat. Once again, pick your hips up and swish your hips over to the left. Drop them down. So hips went over to the left, drop them down the ground. Kicking that right leg out. Left knee coming across the body. And then, I've got my right hand holding onto the left knee. I've got a loose hand here. Maybe the hand went to the ribs a moment ago, but now I'm going to take this hand that's not doing anything, and I'm going to roll over onto my right shoulder enough so that I can reach down and grab a hold of that bottom foot. Crazy fun times here. So roll over enough so you can grab a hold of that bottom foot. Right hand can help steer that left knee across, rocking and rolling. Bottom hand found the bottom foot. I know that's confusing. The hand behind your back is finding the leg on the bottom. That would be your left hand and your right foot. And maybe all that shoulder stretching is starting to make sense. And the more you hike this left knee into your chest, the nicer it is for your back. And reset. Knees bent, feet flat. Pick your hips up, hips over to the right. Shoot that left leg straight out. Our right knee comes across, left hand helps that right knee come across. Gonna roll over onto that left shoulder. Again, maybe a block or pillow underneath your head. Now the hand that was on your ribs is gonna reach down and find the bottom foot. And you rock. And you pulse. And you wiggle. Hike that knee in tight close to your chest to keep your back happy. And reset. We're going to do it a third time, and this is where you might need the belt because you'll have the option to straighten the top leg. So reset, swish those hips over to the left. Bottom leg kicks out. Right knee comes across. Right hand is steering, that's your left knee. Right hand steering that left knee. Left hand finding the bottom foot. And then if you're really feeling ambitious, can you grab a hold of your foot and kick it out? And then using your belt if you need to grab a hold of that foot or just holding onto the knee, whatever works for you. And we did stretch out that hamstring, so you might be able to straighten out the top leg. Think about pushing that top hip away. Push that top hip away. And breathe. And then ease on up. And we'll try that on the other side. Knees bent, feet flat. Lift those hips up. Shift your hips over to the right. Have that belt handy in case you need it. Kick that left leg out. Right knee comes across. Left hand and right knee get to be friendly. Back hand, bottom foot come together. And then you're holding on. Kicking the leg out. Pushing that top hip away. Breathing. And again, maybe the foot doesn't come down to the floor. That's okay. Maybe you don't quite grab a hold of the foot. That's okay. This is a lovely lower back thing if you're just holding on to the knee because you can still fidget around. It's easier to fidget if you're holding onto the knee. Not so easy to fidget if you're holding onto the foot. You play with it. Make it feel good. And then reset. That was our grand finale. So you're going to reset back to center. Knees bent, feet flat. And finish off in your constructive rest pose. or go for full flat out Shavasana. You might be pleasantly surprised at how comfortable full flat out Shavasana is for you today, because you did quite a bit to loosen up your lower back and those hamstrings. And there might be parts of you on the floor that don't usually touch down. Maybe you could feel the backs of your thighs more fully interact with the ground than they usually do, or parts of your lower back coming down to the floor more so than they usually do. But if that lower back is tender or this lying flat out thing is not for you, constructive rest pose is an option. So you do you. Get comfy, settle in, just observe all the differences in your body. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Wiggle your jaw, wiggle your nose, stretch and yawn, and take up space, spread out. Then you're going to make your way over to one side and keep rolling on over until you come on up to sit. Sitting back over your heels, palms are forward for a shoulder shrug up, back and down. Hands come together at your heart. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste, and have a lovely day, everybody.